Okay, so fresh off of Paddy Donovan v Lewis Crocker 2, the decision was Lewis Crocker is the new IBF World Welterweight Champion. But honestly, in my opinion, if you don't watch the highlights and if you watch that actual fight, you will agree with me that Paddy Donovan was robbed here. Like, Paddy Donovan boxed very well for majority of the fight. Unfortunately, the nature of Paddy Donovan's style, and even fundamentally, I think he's got some issues as a boxer. His style leaves him open at times. Sorry about that. That's the windows in the car. But his style leaves him open to big shots, like Lewis Crocker was cracking him with. To be fair, there was some big shots that was landed on him, and when you see that and dropped him, and you're like, damn, Paddy Crocker's not the biggest puncher at welterweight. And you're thinking like there are guys that punch harder than Lewis Crocker at welterweight, and if you get cracked by those guys, Paddy Donovan, you might not be getting back up, right? That being said, Paddy Donovan, in my opinion, outside of the times he got dropped, he was outboxing Lewis Donovan. In my opinion, I think he boxed very well, and he was able to throw combinations despite getting dropped. So if you're able to get dropped and still continually outbox a guy and throw those combinations and have that sort of confidence to land those shots, to me that's quite impressive, right? I mean, do you say maybe that's poor boxing IQ because he got dropped and then he's still engaging and giving himself more chances to get dropped? But at the end of the day, you've got to win the fight. You've got to try and do something to win the fight, because if you don't, if you're just passive in the fight and you're just trying to protect yourself and not take damage, which I understand completely, but if you're doing that, you're probably going to lose the fight, because you're going to have the 10-8 rounds from when Crocker dropped him. You're then going to have the rounds where if Donovan went that route, he wouldn't have done much enough to clearly win those other rounds, and he probably would have lost the decision. But instead, he done the right thing, in my opinion, and continued to box in moments. Yeah, he boxed in moments, but he showed himself to be the sharper boxer, which is what he showed in the first fight. So Paddy Donovan's going to have 2 losses on his resume to Lewis Crocker when he was outboxing him twice. He's sort of shown he's a better boxer than Lewis Crocker, right? That being said, Lewis Crocker, he impressed me somewhat, because in the first fight, he looked just so much worse than Paddy Donovan. But in this fight, he was able to hold his own a bit more, and I think obviously dropping Donovan twice is no small feat, right? And those were big shots, especially the second knockdown. The first knockdown looked like it was a flash. He got straight back up and got back to work. The second one was bad. Like, that was a clean shot, dropped Donovan. Donovan recovered amazingly, though, to continue to box the way he did. But that was a big shot, right? And before this fight, you don't know if he can do that at this level. Not to say that Paddy Donovan's necessarily, nailed on his world level, because neither guy had really fought anyone that great before these two fought each other. Do you know what I mean, right? But yeah, Lewis Crocker did well. I didn't think he did enough to win the fight, though. I think Paddy Donovan should be the new IBF World Welterweight Champion, and he's not. I wonder if they want a third fight. I don't know. Is a third fight worth it? Potentially. A third fight in Ireland again for a world title? I don't know. I don't know if Paddy would want to do that. Not Paddy. I know Paddy would want to do that. I don't know if Crocker would want to do that. I don't know what the money looks like. Commercially, I don't know how successful that would be. I don't know how successful this one was. It looked like a packed crowd, so no doubt commercially it was very successful for these two guys. But maybe there's more money in a unification bout. Probably not with Barrios, even though he could probably beat Barrios, to be fair. But in terms of money, probably not against Barrios. Who else is champion at welterweight? Brian Norman Jr. If Brian Norman loses to Devin Haney, then maybe Crocker v Haney in America would be a big payday for Lewis Crocker. But really, they should probably run it back for a third time. And then hopefully this third time, Paddy Donovan can get the job done. Perhaps not this time he can get the job done. But yeah, I think it was a robbery. That's what I'm saying. I think it was a robbery. And I don't think Lewis Crocker deserves to be the world champion. Not deserves to be. I don't have any personal hatred against him. I don't really care. But I do think that Paddy should be the world champion at the moment. But yeah, I'd be curious to know what you guys think. I don't know if you watch the highlights, you probably just see a guy in Paddy who boxes well at times, but gets dropped twice. You're thinking, well, yeah, I can understand him losing the fight. But if you actually watch the entire fight, you see, in my opinion, Donovan outboxed Crocker for the vast majority of the fight. But yeah, I'd be curious to know what you guys think in the comments below. Another episode of the Seth Solo Side Quest in the bag, and I'm out. Peace.